Welcome to another episode of the Making of Champions Season 4. Now we have a Hall of Fame type guy right here on the show, a friend of mine. We've been conversing for a couple of years now. And I was trying to get him on the show for so long. It's just our schedule's been messed up and mostly blaming me. So now that we got him on, I have to, now that we have an opportunity to bring him in, I'm so glad he was able to get time in his schedule to be a part of the program. Coach Kevin LaSure at the Academy of Art University. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Coach.
Oh, man, it's playing tag and trying to get you on. It's mostly my fault.
No worries, man. It's life of a track coach.
Hey. Man, you've been doing this thing for a number of years, and I want to start back. You're a graduate of New Haven University, University of New Haven. My fault. And I'm watching your timeline. You also became the head coach there, and now, of course, at Academy of Art. So, take us through kind of how you got all started with this.
I started coaching just to help out my college coach. Never actually had any intention of coaching for real or doing this as a career. I'd already started a career, and he needed some help. And I remember what it was like being on the team, and not having adequate staffing and having enough coaches to coach all the areas that we needed. So a lot of times we were coaching ourselves. I remember while I was on the team, there was years where I coached the sprinters. Not that I even knew what was going on, but that's kind of how I got into it and how I fell in love with it. It was trial and error. Those years were a lot of error, mainly because I didn't understand the sport. Being an athlete, understand training, understand periodization, and things like that. So I could give people a run fast, but never at the right times. So and it was just something that I love to do. In my career outside of track and field, when I was volunteering at New Haven, and I was taking my lunch break to go coach. I would drive back across town to go coach, and that was the best part of my day. I hated being in the office all day and working in the business realm. That just seeing those athletes improving and hitting their goals and getting better and helping them, navigate life was the highlight of my day every day. And when my coach was looking to get out, he asked me to apply. Never thought I would get it. I was hoping that whoever came on would allow me to continue to help out. And interviewed at the time. That was probably one of my strengths, was interviewing. Ended up getting the job. The athletes took a liking to me. And they had, spoke highly of me to the AD. And, so from there it was, okay, all right, if this is something you guys want, I'm in, and then I had to figure out how to make it work financially. And, I did. And it was just something I love. I was much happier, made a lot less money, but, I was happy doing what I did. So.
Well, it's a freedom in the mind, and that alleviates a lot of stuff. Most people think that this coaching thing is going to be a very lucrative job. That's not always the case. It doesn't start off. But you went over there. You've had numerous All-Americans, high placements at the national championships, Coach of the Year. And then the opportunity of Academy Art came your way, and I was surprised that you moved, but you made that cross track from one side of one coast to the other coast. How did that go?
As an alum of the University of New Haven, New Haven's always home. So I love the opportunity to be able to give back to a place that gave so much to me. And it was just time. I always tell people, like, I never intended to coach, but I used to pray for something better. So in my talks with God, when he presented the head coach at New Haven, that was where I needed to be. So I tell people all the time there was plenty of opportunities that came that I didn't entertain and I didn't take. But coaching is my assignment. So it's my assignment from God. Um, when Academy of Art came, it was a place that needed me. It was where God needed me to be. So it wasn't easy to take because my heart was in New Haven. And I love those athletes like they were my own family. Those were my kids. I still talk to them all the time and guide them through life and things like that. But my assignment there was done. And it was time to move on to a new assignment. And there was a place that needed me, and I embraced that, and I know it was a place that, at the time, was in a place where they didn't know what direction they were going in. Had a lot of talented athletes, great program. Coach Ryan before me had done a great job building the program, but after him, they were in kind of limbo and they didn't know which direction they wanted to go. And I remember talking with the AD and Tori Olsen at the time, like, we need someone that's been there and that can steer us in the right direction. And, it just sounded like somewhere where I was needed and I could help. And that's the biggest thing in this, yeah, I like winning and having success and all that. But if your athletes never learn anything or don't become better people when they leave you, you failed as a coach. So I go where I can help people. And this is the place. They don't always get it right away. They don't always understand, the sacrifices we make as a coach, and they don't realize it's not for us. But after a while, they get it. And we've all been there. We've all been student athletes who didn't understand it, didn't get it. And we've had coaches that have steered us in the right direction and kind of helped guide us because they've been there. I always tell them, some people can't give you directions to somewhere they've never been. So if you want to get to my house, you can't ask somebody that's never been there, right? You're gonna come to me and ask for directions to places I've been, right? So I always tell them when we're guiding you because we're trying to get you to avoid the pitfalls that we may have stepped in or we've had previous athletes step in and make their transition and their experience and their journey a little smooth. And be successful along the way. It's a lot of lessons that we teach in track are life lessons. It's not just about running around in circles, jumping into a pit, throwing far, falling over a bar. They're life lessons and all those things. I enjoy that part of it. I enjoy the teaching part of it and being somewhere where you can help them navigate the track and field world, but also navigate this life outside of track and beyond. So,
well, you have done a great job. You've won championships in the Pacific Championships. You are still placing high at the national championships. I know it's not everything that you want right now, but you're building your program and retooling every year. So, how we are the making of champions. So how is it that you've been able to, what are some of the secrets, if you want to call secrets, of building your championship program and culture there?
I think you got to find your niche and find what works for where you are. Chasing the championship at Academy of Art looks totally different than chasing the championship at University of New Haven. Both have gone on the podium, but they've done it different ways. At New Haven, we had a lot of we didn't have a lot of scholarship money, things like that. And I think the year we were fourth, we had 1.1 scholarships. And so okay, we're gonna go and get 2 or 3 athletes that I think can compete at a high level at the national meeting. We're gonna develop the rest of the team, and the iron sharpens iron. So as they're out there and they're around that championship character, they started to believe and they started to to buy in, and we definitely achieved above our means there. And that was special for me, and that felt great to have those athletes, buy in and believe wholeheartedly and start to believe in themselves. And that's carried on beyond there, where they're engineers, some are in medical school, some are lawyers, and they're doing wonderful things. Some are, speaking to athletes about, the mental health aspects of being a student athlete and the pressure that you put on yourself, and and the resources that are available and things like that. So I'm proud of that aspect, that we built it that way with athletes that came in and were able to balance both. Academy of Art, we have scholarships. We don't have the facilities. We don't even have a locker room. We don't have, there's like things that we don't have. We don't have our own track. I talk to people. One year we were getting ready for the outdoor season, and we showed up to the track, and they had ripped the track up, and they were resurfacing the track, so we had no track for the outdoor season. So we had to figure it out. But I tell you, those kids are resilient. And what they navigate on a daily basis, most people couldn't handle. Being in downtown San Francisco, and you've got to take BART and they train, and some people live outside the city and they got to BART in, and it may take you 30, 45 minutes to get to campus, and you got to be there at 6 a.m. for practice, and they don't make excuses. And and I think that makes them and starts to build them into champions in life. We're chasing national championships on the track, but they're starting to believe in themselves outside the track. You started to love things beyond track and field, and develop, who they're going to be for the next 40 years, and not just who they are for this 4 to 5 year period that they're at the Academy of Art. So I think one thing we've done is, just found what works for us. We don't have a facility for throws. We don't have a pole vault pit. So we usually don't recruit athletes we can't help. So I'm not going to bring in an elite thrower or a pole vaulter knowing that we can't coach here. So we found our niche, and we're going to go, sprints, hurdles, jumps, and distance, and we're going to try to be the best we can in those areas, and score as many points as we can there, and hopefully be able to stand on the top of the podium one day. But definitely want to build something that's sustainable beyond me. I won't be here forever. So whoever is, always make it better for the next person. And then their assignment is to take it to the next level and things like that. So just trying to find some consistency and build what works and what's sustainable. Because it's good it's easy to be good for 1 year. But now, can you be good year after year after year and over time? And doing that takes you finding what works where you are, and not, trying to do what works, somewhere across the country, or a team that won it the year before or 3 years ago. No, you got to find what works for you and your program, and what's sustainable for you. So.
And I like that. I hope you out there in the world are listening to that, that finding what works for your program and your environment there. And whether, some people, I know a lot of coaches who like, well, I don't have enough scholarships, but you just, well, 1.5 scholarships, you can have a squad that can contend in a championship program. And then for those who's like, man, guys, I don't have no facilities. You prove again that you can make a way. You might have a scholarship, don't have facilities. Not everybody's going to have everything perfect, but yet finding a way to win throughout, and you've shown that to be the purpose. So now you're at Academy of Art. How did you both institutions, I guess, but I want to really focus on Academy of Art now. That's where you are now. So we want to make sure we highlight your university right now. How was it that you came out with the staff to help you formulate this championship culture?
One thing I remember when I first got there, my first task, I met with every athlete one-on-one. So whether they were in my event group or not, I met with the entire team one-on-one. And I blocked out an hour for each one of them. Some, if you needed to go over time, I allowed them to go over time, but it was their time to get whatever out, whatever their goals were, any issues they had, things like that. And one thing I kept hearing was that a lot of them had different coaches every year. So there was no consistency. So one thing, I've been trying to do is bring, consistency to the staff. Our current staff, we're going on, everybody that's here now has been here at least 3 years. We're just trying to build into that where they have someone that is going to be there to help them develop and not have to adapt to a new coach every single year. That's tough for an athlete. So the fact that they were performing at that high of a level, having a different coach every single year and having to switch up, having to buy into, different philosophy, different strategy, different training, all those things was, impressive in itself. And, that right then I knew like this program could be special and was special, and those kids were special. So, um, it was big for me to get to know those kids and understand who they are. And, I pride myself on, as a head coach, as a director, not just getting so locked in on my group that I don't see what's going on with the program, with the team. So, I bounce around from group to group at practice. My group is the largest group. They know, like, I make it so that they're self-sufficient. So there's times where, like, hey, I need to float because I need to keep my finger on the pulse. And I always tell them, a puzzle isn't complete if you're missing pieces. So if we're not strong in an area, our chances of being able to win the championship are depleted by so much when you just empty in an area. Like, so we're already giving up throws and the pole vault and multi. So, we have to maximize what we have. And in order to do that, I have to know who we have on the team and how I'm able to assist them and assist, my staff as well. So, and get them what they need. And sometimes you gotta coach them up as well. I remember being a young coach and needing coaching, so we've all been there and, you pay it forward. I enjoy the sport. So I enjoy watching everyone be successful, whether it's my athlete or not, because I know how hard, student athletes work. I know how hard coaches work to get to that goal. So when somebody wins, man, I'm in the back applauding. I don't care if it's me or not, like, and I like to compete against the best, teach my kids to want to compete against the best. They'll tell you we don't shy away from any competition. I'm not afraid to lose, so, but I want to compete, so we'll compete against anyone, anywhere, anytime, win, lose, or draw, like that's the fun of it. And that's the beauty of it because we know everybody's working, you don't get to this level without working. So we just embrace that. So.
I'm gonna kind of veer a little bit. You mentioned that again calling brought you to a different calling and different tasks brought about coming to the Academy of Art. So knowing when you came in, this is some tidbits about you, and then also for other coaches to learn from this. They didn't have facilities, right? So I know the scholarships were a thing that brought some light to you, but yet there had been something else about the university that drive you besides just the scholarships, because you knew you were lacking in the facilities. How did you make that transition? Or what about the Academy of Art is like, yes, this is the place I have to be outside of my calling and outside of the scholarships? What else called you to come there?
So 2015 Outdoor Nationals at Grand Valley. I knew they were in transition and had zero interest in the job at this point. Didn't even realize they were still interviewing or hiring or looking or anything. Was talking to one of the assistants at the time, Brandon Campbell, at the national championship meetings. Hey man, how you guys doing? Like, I know, Chuck no longer there. Have they found a replacement for Coach Ryan yet? Or, what are you guys gonna do? Or are you taking over? Like that, just asking, just because. Not even thinking about the job whatsoever. Like never, my thought to go to California. And that summer, I had already like committed to stay in New Haven. I wasn't even looking or anything. We had some transition within my staff. I had one of my former athletes who was my assistant coach, had gotten a head coaching job, and I almost kind of like forced him out. It was time for him to go. He had outgrown the position that he was in, and I wanted to see him, move up and develop. And I thought he was ready to, have his own program, at least his own cross country program, things like that. So as we were transitioning. New Haven started to move in a direction that I thought didn't require me to me to be there. So I knew at that time my assignment was done, right? And as they were transitioning to that, and I knew, okay, all right, God put me here for a time to set it up to get it to a certain point. And now it's time to pass that baton. And literally the day that I decided that, okay, I'm open to something else. And I'm, like, this is probably it for me. This was probably my last season. I got back to the office and Academy of Art called an hour after I got back to my office.
Wow.
So I walked out of my AD's office, walked back to my office, and Academy of Art called an hour later. I had never applied, and never anything. And I was like, and he goes into the spiel, and I was like, and he said, wait, probably should ask if you're interested. I said, well, I'm listening. I said, if you called me yesterday, I probably would have just told you no, thank you. You know what I'm saying? I said, but it's the right day, and I often I listen to God when He speaks, and I try to be still until He tells me to move, and for that call to come that day at that time, I knew it was time. And can't say that I wasn't. I don't want to say nervous because I really don't get nervous. Like I just didn't know what to expect, but I knew this was where I needed to be and where the sport needed me and where God wanted me to be. And it was my next assignment. I interviewed that night. 30 minutes after I got off the phone with them on the interview, they offered the job. So, I could come out, but I already had the job if I wanted it. And, I came out 2 weeks later, so,
Listen,
yeah.
listen, yeah, man. Man.
Mm.
See, so you never know, sometimes things you run your course where you are, and sometimes, the direction is given to you. Some people don't take those directions, and then they put themselves in a bad situation of either staying where they are, but yet you moved with the calling, and everything just lined itself up. That's tremendous, man.
No, I definitely knew that was where God wanted me to be. And I think he did it at that time right there because he knew I would always find an excuse to stay at New Haven, no matter how bad it got, that was home, so I would always find an excuse to stay. Every year, people would call and offer, and, when, hey, you should apply here, you should do this, make an excuse why I wasn't interested, and like, because I was home, I knew I wasn't going to make any more money than I was making, but that's not why I was doing it. I was home, and this is where I felt comfortable and thought I needed to be. And when that happened on that day, that was the one day. And honestly, if they probably called the next day, I probably would have said no as well. So, yeah, but timing is everything, and talk about when I think about timing and think about God's timing, we often want things and we're in a rush and we're in a hurry to get them, but in due time, that's and I think because I move like that, I understand when things don't happen for me. It's just not time. So but you'll always know. So
Well, in the sport, it's about growth. And so, how do you feel that you've grown throughout these years within this?
definitely a more knowledgeable coach. I mean, as a coach, we're always learning, we're always evolving. One of the biggest things I learned early, I got my first head coaching job. I was 24 years old when I started as head coach at New Haven. I'm definitely a much better coach than that then. But one thing I learned back then was, coach the athlete, not the event. And just because something worked for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for the next person. So I try not to coach every athlete the same. And make adjustments as needed. And if something isn't working, for someone and I feel like they're giving it everything they have and they're actually buying into it and it's not working, it's not for them, So I've learned to make those adjustments and try to find what works for each specific athlete, so that we have, everyone hitting on all cylinders and performing at a high level and being able to do well, that makes it fun for them. They enjoy it when everyone's, the worst thing is when you have, one or two athletes doing really, really well and the rest of the team is struggling and suffering. And, it's either, get one of two things. You either get where those one or two athletes that are excelling and doing well, they have to dim their light, and they aren't able to enjoy the journey that they're on and all the success they have because they don't want to make the rest of the team feel bad, or, the rest of the team feels like they have to do something more, and it kind of spirals out of control where they just going to get worse and worse and worse because all they're doing is comparing themselves to those few athletes that are excelling. So try to make sure that we find a way to get everyone to do well. And I think this is a place where we're pretty fortunate where you get a lot of places like we don't have any bad athletes. We don't have any athletes that don't want to be good, that don't want to be here, and aren't striving. That don't show up to practice and work hard, and and get through things. So that makes this place special to me. And I know like this assignment is going to be over at some point, but I'm going to enjoy it as long as I can, while I'm here. And then I'll move when it's time for me to move. But, I love what these kids do, and I know that, they probably need me more than I even know they need, and not even on the track, just in life and things like that, because a lot of them come from, where people didn't believe in them. They weren't given opportunities, and we're the only opportunity for them, or we're the only ones that have told them that they are as good as they are, just as a person, and not just an athlete, and seeing them as more than just athletes. So.
Well, I know that support staff, you got hired by the AD called you and everything, had the interview. Support staff is a key element. And then also with your supervisor, as being a director of track and field or head coach out there, how do you help and how is that directive going with you and your support staff and your administrators of creating that even more enhanced climax of the championship culture?
You know, one thing I did when I got here was I put an emphasis on the classroom for them. I put an emphasis on them being good people, being respectful on campus, in the weight room, in the city, just being respectful to other student athletes, other teams when we're at meets, other coaches, officials, things like that, and just kind of making it so that when people saw them, they didn't just see, elite track athletes. And so, yeah, they're an elite track athlete, but they're great people. And I think the administration started to see that, and that's the grades, going up where we've been NCAA All-Academic team every year. That was unheard of when I got here. They didn't even think it was possible, because the kids didn't take a liking to school. They just want to come and run, and I was like, no. Like if we're not doing this, we're not going to do that. So, and they bought into it and they understood what it was. Like, no matter how good you are, you can't run forever. So you've got to be able to do something after this. And I think that changed along with maintaining the standard that was set prior to me, of being elite on the track. You know, my AD is super supportive of what we need to do, to be able to compete for a championship. And having them on board and, being able to sit down and talk to him about the things that we need and, know that he's going to at least try. I don't even know we're not going to mind taking a no. He'll at least try and help us to be in a position to compete with the best in the country, and have a shot at a national championship every year, which is all you hope for. I may not win it, but it's fun to be able to compete for one. It's fun to be at a national championship meet and you're watching the scoreboard and you're trying to figure out, all right, how do we swing this thing in our favor? So knowing that we have the support to be able to get that done. Indoors it's tough in California because there are no tracks, but that was one of the things we stay a little local outdoor, but allow us to go where we need to go to be competitive indoor. And I know it's not like that everywhere. So we're appreciative of that. We understand that that's not common. And it's good to know that on most campuses it's track and cross country is treated like a counter sport, and for us it's totally different. Totally different. They understand our goals, and they want to help contribute to those goals. Along with having a great coaching staff where I can know that okay, they're going to do their part to make sure that their groups contribute to the good of the team. And being able to collaborate and cross over and move athletes as we need them and things like that, and know that like it's going to be a smooth transition and things like that, and they're going to be committed to the common goal of the team. So.
Well, you heard it here. This is Director of Cross Country Track and Field Academy Art University, Coach Kevin LaSure, doing great things, always doing great things. Character is at the highest level. I enjoy speaking with him on the phone, speaking with him at the track meets. I learn a lot more just in conversations. You might think he says he learned some stuff from me. I don't see how, but he's a man of great integrity, man of faith that you've heard and seen, and about developing student athletes on and off the track. The program there is blessed to have such a individual to be in such high esteem at the university, and I'm glad you were able to come in and blessing all of us in your presence of being on the show. So I want to give you some time to say anything you want to say to the crowd, and shout outs or anything that you feel that the audience needs to know and hear that would help them in their transition to making of champions.
Just thanks for having me. Coach Price, thanks for doing this, putting this together. This is huge for the sport. I think a lot of times people on the outside, even student athletes, from other programs and coaches from other programs and administrators and wherever, see coaches that are having success and think they're untouchable, and they don't realize that like we're all just people, and we all looking to help and improve the greater good. So this sport was here long before me. It'll be here long after me. I just hope I can leave my mark, and they know I was here. And when it's all said and done, they say that I helped move it in a better direction than I found it. And pass it on to the next person to carry the torch, or people to carry the torch. So. But I appreciate you for having me on and doing this. Sure.
Thank you. It's all about education, getting the word out, getting everybody expressed. People that may not be known as much, but then we're trying to highlight them to get their names out there. And then you never know what you're going to learn from somebody. Everybody has something that they can give to inspire and to motivate another person, other people out there. And that's the purpose of the show, is to show ways of how to develop that thing. And it's not all about just the trophies in the back, but it's about creating champions in life afterwards. So,
yes.
And this is you are a great embodiment of that purpose and that gesture there. So I want to thank you. For all of you watching, please like, share, and subscribe to the program. And when you see Coach LaSure out there, he's a very approachable person, so be able to go out there and talk to him and get some more nuggets out of him. So thank you. Making a Champion Season 4. Peace.